Welcome to Book to Blueprint, where powerful books become practical blueprints for real life. You do not need more information, you need execution. This is Book to Blueprint. Look, today we're doing more than just talking about the ideas in the Unsold Mindset by Colin Coggins and Garrett Brown. We're actually going to build a practical blueprint, something you can literally start using this second this is over to completely change how you think about selling. All right, so let's start with the end in mind. What's the real goal here? The core outcome. Look, this isn't about learning a few new sales tricks. Not at all. It's about installing a completely new mindset, a way of thinking that lets you sell authentically without feeling, well, salesy. The promise is pretty huge. Better results in your work, and honestly, a better, more fulfilling life. Okay, so here's our game plan. This is the 6-part blueprint we're going to walk through. First, the outcome. Then we'll get into the big idea behind it all. After that, we'll lay out the unsold operating system and give it as new software for your brain. Then, the really important part, your step-by-step implementation plan. We'll cover the habits you need to build, and finally, we'll look at the common mistakes to steer clear of. Let's get into it. All right, first things first, the big idea. You really have to get this because it's the engine that drives this entire framework. And it all boils down to a simple but really powerful shift in how you think. So here it is. The beta idea is that real sustainable success in selling, it doesn't come from some script you memorize or a bunch of external tactics. Nope. It comes from an internal shift. It's all about winning the conversation that's happening inside your own head. It's about finally ditching that phony, cringy salesperson persona and realizing you succeed because you're your authentic self, not in spite of it. And this quote from the book just nails it, right? The greatest salespeople aren't successful because of what they do, they're successful because of what they think. It's not about the action, it's about the thought behind the action. So the focus shifts from perfecting your pitch to perfecting your mindset. Because at the end of the day, your thoughts are what create your reality and your results. Okay, so if the beta idea is the why, let's get into the how. We're going to dive into the mechanics of what they call the unsold operating system. And I want you to think of this literally like lines of code. These are the foundational principles that are going to run your new mental OS. So here they are, the 6 core laws of the unsold OS. Number 1, be authentic, not a persona. 2, adopt a growth mindset. 3, focus on transformation, not just transactions. 4, cultivate what they call pathological optimism. I love that. 5, be a teammate, not an opponent. And 6, set goals that are driven by purpose. And listen, these aren't just feel-good ideas. They are the active principles we're about to see in action in our implementation plan. Okay, now for what I think is the most important part of this whole thing. How do we actually make this real? How do we take it from a concept and put it into practice? Well, this next section is exactly that. It's your step-by-step installation guide to move from theory into actual real-world action. We're going to walk through 3 main steps to get this operating system up and running in your life. First, we'll nail down your core purpose. Then, we're going to totally reframe how you look at rejection. And finally, we'll get into the practice of giving value that actually transforms situations, not just transacts. Okay, let's start with step 1. And honestly, this is the bedrock of the entire thing, defining your why. You have to find that core purpose that's going to fuel everything else. Because without it, the rest of the system, it just doesn't have any power. It's just empty tactics. So the big question is, how do you find it? What's your real purpose? Beyond the kind of stuff you'd put on a resume. To figure that out, we're going to use a really simple, but man, is it a powerful exercise from the book. And here's how you do it. It's called the 3rd why exercise. It's so simple. You start by asking yourself, what is my purpose? Whatever your answer is, you then ask, why is that important? And then to that answer, you ask why one more time. That simple process of digging just 3 levels deep, it cuts through all the surface level junk and reveals what truly, authentically motivates you. So once this new OS is installed, you can't just forget about it, right? It needs maintenance to keep it running strong. And these recurring behaviors are kind of like the background processes on your computer. They're the habits that keep your new mindset running smoothly and efficiently, day in and day out. This table right here is basically your cheat sheet for the 4 key habits you need to build. So let's break them down. First, when you have a tough day, use a hard day's night log. You just list what went wrong, but, and this is key, you also list what went right. This is all about building that pathological optimism. Second, on every single client call, use the handshakes method. Just keep a separate column in your notes where you jot down every point of agreement. This builds that teammate mentality. Third, and this is a non-negotiable, review your purpose daily. It ensures your actions are actually aligned with your why. And finally, you gotta learn to relabel negative self-talk the second it pops up. For example, instead of I'm nervous, you switch it to I'm excited. It's a small change that reclaims your power in that moment. All right, so to get a really clean installation of this new mindset, you also have to uninstall the old buggy software, right? So this section is all about debugging that old operating system, identifying and, more importantly, avoiding the common mistakes that come with that traditional old school sales mindset. And this chart lays out that core shift you need to make perfectly. Look at the difference. The old way is acting like you're the expert with all the answers. The unsold approach? Commit to being a learner who can grow from anyone. The old way is focusing only on closing the deal, which comes from a place of scarcity. The new way is focusing on genuinely helping the customer, which comes from abundance. And finally, stop asking those selfish, extractive questions. Start asking what they call impactful questions, ones that actually give your customer a whole new perspective. It is a complete 180-degree flip from the old way of doing things. So as we wrap up this blueprint, I want to leave you with one final and really critical idea: the unsold mindset. It's not some destination you finally arrive at one day. It's a completely different and way more fulfilling way you travel on your journey. The real value isn't just in getting the yes or closing the deal. It's in the growth, the learning, and the impact you have along the way. So the question I want to leave you with is this: are you celebrating the process? If you have a book in mind that should be added to our list, comment below. If this blueprint helped you, subscribe, like, and build with us. More blueprints are coming. Stay intentional, stay consistent. We are doing this one book at a time. And remember, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So share this with them and grow together. Real progress becomes stronger when it is shared. Build your life one blueprint at a time. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you do.